Hello and welcome to Letters Home, a story of a World War II B-17 pilot from Lowell, Michigan, in his own words. And he just so happens to be my grandpa. I'm your host, Annie Whitlock, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, my dad, Mitch McMahon, my aunt, Lori McMahon Summerfield, and Dale Croft from the Lowell Historical Museum.
In each episode of Letters Home, we're going to dive into letters written by my dad during his time in World War II that he sent to his parents, siblings, and friends back home in Lowell, Michigan. We'll be reading his own words and giving some context as to what was happening in the world and in Lowell at the time he wrote these.
In this episode, we read a few letters Dad wrote about his new job in Kingman. Lotta is injured at home, and there's a return of a familiar face from England.
Yep. So in our last episode, we revealed that Bruce had returned to Kingman, Arizona, without Margaret, as she remained back in Lowell with Lotta and Frank to have their baby. Uncle Jim drove with Bruce down to Arizona, and our first letter of the day is from Bruce back to his parents about how fun of a time they both had, Bruce and Uncle Jim. This is from April 18th, 1945, in his own words.
Wednesday night. Dear Mom and Dad, Jim left today at 1:30 for Chicago and should arrive there sometime Friday night. No trains have been coming from the east for 3 days on account of the floods in or around Missouri and Oklahoma. I couldn't get time off to take him to L.A., but I don't believe he was too disappointed. He is such a good traveler, and it was really a pleasure to have him along. Dad, I'll take your tire down either tomorrow or the next day and ship it. We didn't have any tire trouble on the trip, nor up to Boulder Dam, but tonight one was going flat, so I changed it. I'm now in a room on the field, and tomorrow I'll get an idea of what my new duties will be. I told Marg that I'd give her an idea of my first day's work tomorrow. I just finished a letter to her, and I'd like to tell you one thing. Someday, I hope I'll be able to show my gratitude and thankfulness for having the mom and dad I have. When I think of all you've done, just for Marg and my sake, I just can't express how I feel. When I realize what suffering you went through for me when I was overseas, I know that I'll never be able in this life to show my affection. When I'm with you, I can see your love for me in 1,000 ways, and it appalls me to realize that I could be worthy of such affection. I know I'm not. I don't think anyone could be, and that's also the way I feel about Margaret. Every day I say to myself, what a lucky person you are, Bruce McMahon. And Mom, please don't overdo now that Marg is there. She doesn't want you to, and I know that it worries her that you will. Also, to you will fall the job of trying to comfort her when she's not feeling well. Only she's made of the kind of stuff that would never complain if she was in mortal pain. Good night. May God watch over you. Your loving son, Bruce.
Aw, it was very sweet and sentimental for sure. In mortal pain, that's pretty dramatic, but that's okay. To lighten things up a little bit, we also have a short postcard that Bruce sent from his and Jim's trip to Boulder Dam that he referenced in that letter. So, in his own words.
Dear Mom and Dad, Jim and I are waiting for a U.S. Ranger to convoy us back across the dam. Had a Coke in Boulder City, Nevada. Jim says we're having a chill while we're waiting. Joke, as the sun is really hot. Love, Bruce.
Yeah, I think that the postcard says having a chill. I couldn't quite make out what he was writing, but...
Sounds like that. I mean, it's just a different way to say it.
Just chilling. But it's really
chilly, yeah.
Yeah, so he must have had a great time with Jim, traveling all over the place. So
yeah.
It sounds like a fun trip. Bruce's next letter is from April 21st, 1945, where he gives a little more detail on what he's doing in Kingman. We're going to break this letter up into two parts. It's typed up on U.S. Army Air Force letterhead, so you know, in his own words.
April 21st, 45. Dear Dad, I just received your letter this morning, so that's pretty good service. Counting the time it takes to sort the mail, etc. That means that it only took a letter over 24 hours to get here. Now that I'm money conscious, or in need of those $2, I must admit that I would have been disappointed had I not found those 2 bills folded in your letter. It makes me remember those times overseas when they got to be almost a superstition with me, and also showing them to the limeys and then keeping them safely tucked away for my return to the States. Gosh, Dad, you'll never know what went through my mind when I used to tuck them away. But now that is all over, and I'm thankful for making it back safely. About my work here, I'm sitting in my office, and as an assistant communications officer of KAAF, all I do is sit around here and look smart, which isn't really a tough job if you let your subordinates do the work. The only flying that I'll be doing is for my own convenience, such as cross countries to other fields, etc. I intend to get down to Clovis just as soon as I get things organized around here. What I mean by organized is my own learning how this outfit operates. I have a lot to learn about the administrative part of this job, but as I have more time than anything else, I certainly ought to accomplish it. You said in your letter that Mom was having trouble with her arm. How bad is it? Just make sure that you never keep anything from me, because now I could be home in a matter of hours if you ever needed me. As I told Marg the other night, I met Johnny Phelps. In fact, he came walking into my room at the BOQ. Tonight I'm going to take he and his wife out for a ride. I haven't been driving the car since I got a room on the field, so it'll be a good thing to get the oil up in the cylinder walls. I've been toying with the idea of selling it, and if I can get $1,200 out of it, I think I will sell it.
All right. Well, first of all, we need to know what a communications officer is before we go on with this letter. Dale, what else can you tell us besides Bruce's description?
Well, a communication officer in the Army Air Force played a crucial role in establishing and maintaining communication networks vital for air operations. They were in charge of overseeing the installation, maintenance, and operation of various communication equipment, including radios, telegraphy systems, and teletype machines. They implemented and oversaw security measures to protect classified information transmitted through these networks, including encrypting and decrypting messages and ensuring the safe handling and storage of classified documents. The officers also facilitated the flow of information between commanders and their units, enabling centralized command and flexible deployment of aircraft. They were responsible for training and supervising communication personnel, ensuring they were proficient in operating and maintaining the equipment and following communication protocols. They ensured effective communication between different aircraft and ground support units during missions, crucial for close air support and other tactical operations. They provided essential information like weather updates and navigational assistance to pilots. Communication officers in the Army Air Force were the backbone of communication infrastructure, enabling the efficient and effective conduct of air warfare by ensuring vital information flowed freely and securely across the vast expanse of the theaters of operation.
This seems very different than what he's been doing up to this point.
Yeah.
I know he had to censor the letters from his crew when he was over in England, but this seems like a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be flying much, other than, like you said, of his own convenience.
Yep.
So, all right, back to Kingman to do communication officer work. Interesting. Does anyone know who Johnny Phelps is? That's the other person there. Is he related to Hoyt Phelps?
That rings a bell. I've seen his picture in a ledger.
Oh, okay.
I think
Maybe I should search for it next time
I just
I'm
came
in there.
across it digging up some information the other day. So
Okay.
I'll
Maybe.
I'll put that on my list to do.
I'm sure it's a friend or something, but they clearly met up in Kingman. Maybe he's a Lowell. That's why I was wondering if he was a Lowell person, because Marg would know him, I guess.
Yeah.
Like he wrote her to say, hey, I saw him and his wife. So interesting.
Yeah. Looks like you knew him. Yeah. Just
Interesting.
walked right into the room and there he was.
Walked right in. There he was. Well, now it's time to get into our segment where we talk about what was going on in the world and in Lowell in April of 1945. And to do that, we're actually going to finish this letter from April 21st, where Bruce gives a little hint about world news in his own words.
That burn must have really been busy to finish that sink already. I sent some shaving lotion to him by Jim, and if I can get anything for you, just ask and I'll send it. I'll box up a couple of boxes of candy and send them your way. Jim will probably give you all the dope on our trip, but I can say that we just barely missed getting in the center of that tornado that hit on Thursday night. In fact, it was his good judgment that saved us. It was about 9 at night, and we were coming through the Ozarks on from St. Louis. Jim mentioned that he could see a black cloud directly in front of us, but we kept on, and we finally repeated it again, and he repeated it again, so I pulled off the road by the auto court. And just as he did, the wind really hit. I know that if we'd been on the road and not in the shelter of that building, we would probably have tipped over. The next morning, we had to follow some cars through a flooded area, and it gave you a funny feeling to be driving not knowing where the road was and the river about up to the doors of the car. Then we left Charlie's. We ran into a bad snowstorm in the mountains, so Jim said he guessed we had run into all kinds of weather, and I agreed. Sorry to hear you've had so much more trouble at the plant. Maybe if you again ask for Charlie's release, they might do something about it now that the war looks to be just about over in Europe. Well, I'm going to sign off now, and take good care of yourself, and don't let Mom overdo. Your loving and grateful son, Bruce.
So I think that Charlie they're referring to here is Charlie Hausman, right? Their friend who worked at Lowell Light and Power, because Bruce is telling Frank that he should ask to get him out of the service and get back to work. I think that's what Bruce is referring to. So maybe Frank has tried that again, or tried that before, and it didn't work, but now he's saying it might work now because
The war's ending.
the war is getting to the end
Wrapping
here.
up, yeah.
And he's right. The war is definitely finishing up at this point. In fact, this letter was April 21st, but on April 22nd, Hitler admitted that the war has been lost and says he's going to stay in his bunker until he can't anymore. He's saying this to just his people, not the world. Heinrich Himmler, one of his go-to guys, actually tries to surrender on behalf of the Germans, but the Allies don't believe it's real, and he didn't really have an order from Hitler to do that. And then Russia's also closing in on the city, so it is the beginning of the end here. In this next letter we're going to read, Bruce reveals another major event that indicates that the end of the war in Europe is close. This letter is just to Lotta, and it's from April 27th, 1944, in his own words.
Friday night. Dearest Mom, just a line to let you know that my prayers are for you getting out of that bed darn soon and getting back to show the gals how to play that game called bridge. You've got to obey the doc's orders and stay in bed and get a good long rest. Don't worry about a thing, as Marg wrote, and don't give another thought to getting the house redecorated. You've got all summer and all winter, if necessary, to do that. And the main thing is that you get back in shape. By now you must know that you don't have to worry about Marg getting along, so you shouldn't have one darn thing to worry yourself about. As for me, I like my job out here very well. The work is interesting and my time is my own. I'm eating regularly, getting more sleep than I need, and I'm physically in A1 shape. As Marg probably told you, I met Major Odell the other day. He said he came down to look me up and to see if I could get out of coming to this field. I can sympathize with him because he and his wife out in Las Vegas, because he has his wife out in Las Vegas, and she's going to have a baby in another 6 months or so. Well, since Marg and I left this field, it's half again as big as it was. There are absolutely no rooms, even single rooms, to be had in town, and those that are occupied have a waiting list in case the people leave them. I felt so darn sorry for the Major because I don't think he has too good of a setup at his folks to send her there, and her father is a widower, so he really seems quite worried at the prospects of having to come over here. Right along those lines, I want you to know how lucky I know that we are to have that lovely room to have as long as we ever shall need it, and that Margaret will be there when she can take care of both of you and the baby. I'm kind of tough on her, especially as we've only been married such a short while, and then to have us always moved around. Still, she's one gal that can take it, and I know that she wouldn't have it any other way. Gosh, when I'm thinking that I'm soon going to become a father, I'm darn near bust with pride. I guess the Lord knew all the time when you and I had those talks about my restlessness that I was due to find Margaret. I know that my Margaret is the only woman on this whole earth that could have made me as happy as she has, and there's definitely such a thing as a soulmates, and if anyone wants to disagree, just send them to your son. Well, I better get going. Wait a second. It just came in that they've captured Mussolini and trying to get into Switzerland, but by the time you read this, it'll be old news. Well, good night, my dearest mother, and take care of that heart, as big chunks of it belongs to your youngest son, Bruce.
No, this is such a nice love letter.
Yeah,
It's
he's
very
so kind.
sweet.
So kind.
I know. Yeah, I don't know, but he probably would be embarrassed if we're reading them out loud if he were still around. But I
I
think
don't
they're
know.
really sweet.
Yeah.
I do. And we saw Major Odell making appearance in the U.S. We only know him as his buddy from over in Thurley. But we'll talk more about that in a minute. The end of this letter reveals that Mussolini has been captured. Dale, what else do you know about Mussolini's capture?
Well, it's quite a story. Following the Allied invasion of Sicily in July 1943, the fascist Grand Council voted to remove Mussolini from power, and King Victor Emmanuel III dismissed him as head of the government and placed him under arrest. In September 1943, German paratroopers led by Otto Skorzeny carried out a daring raid called Operation Oak to rescue Mussolini from his imprisonment in the Gran Sasso. After being rescued from prison by German commandos in September, Benito Mussolini was placed as the head of the Italian Social Republic, or the RSI, A puppet state in Germany occupied northern Italy. As Allied forces advanced northwards through Italy and a German position crumbled in 1945, Mussolini attempted to flee to Switzerland with his mistress, Clara Pettasa, and a small entourage. On April 27th, their convoy was stopped by Italian communist partisans at a roadblock near the village of Dongo on the shores of Lake Como. Mussolini, disguised in a German Luftwaffe helmet and overcoat, was recognized and captured along with Pettasa and others. Fearing the Nazis would again try to liberate the dictator, the partisans hid the pair in a remote farmhouse for the night. The following day, April 28th, Mussolini and Pettasa were removed from the house and driven to the village of Giolino di Mardi Gras on the shores of Lake Como. They were ordered to stand in front of a stone wall at the entrance to Villa Bellomonte, where both were executed by machine gun fire.
My goodness.
The identity of the triggerman remains a point of contention, but it was likely Communist partisan commander Walter Arezzo. Their bodies were subsequently taken to Milan and publicly displayed in the Piazza Lorado. Mussolini's capture and death represented the end of the fascist rule in Italy and the decline of the Axis influence in Europe. And it was not a pretty sight when they were hung by their feet upside down. And the people threw rocks and stones. And Winston Churchill has a quote, "Executing him was one thing, but the public mutilation of his body was something else entirely."
Yeah.
I have one picture that I found of that. But the people took their vengeance out on him.
Yep.
And her, Clara, too.
Yep. Yeah. And the partisans are like resistance fighters.
Yeah.
So they're not like army or anything. They're just, they're people, they kind of make their own like group. Like these people would kind of rise up. Like we talked about the French resistance and things like that. And Danish resistance, the people that hid, build like, so that's another word for the resistance groups, like these partisans.
I think there's a movie about...
the partisans often did violence, right, to try many times, to try to sabotage Hitler and Mussolini, and so...
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I did not know that.
Absolutely. Well, we're getting to the end. So he wrote a letter to Lotta the day that they were caught in Switzerland, and the news came out. So it's like breaking news right there. Well, we're going to finish today with another letter that Bruce wrote to Lotta, went a little earlier, from April 22nd. It talks a little bit more about his job, but also has a few other interesting things in there. So, in his own words.
Sunday, the 22nd. Dear Mom, how's your arm today? I've worried quite a bit these last few days about you. Have you had the doc treat you for that infection? If your glands are swollen enough to shut off the circulation in your arm, they must be in bad condition. You just got to take it easy and not try to do too much work. It worries me because with our event only a few weeks off, I know that you'll get upset with so much excitement. I was thinking yesterday that why it wouldn't be a good idea to hire a girl to work every day for a while. There must be some high school kids that would be glad for the work after school is out, and I would pay the wages for her. She might not be too good, but just someone to clean and do the dishes would save you so much work that you shouldn't be doing. I was going to write Marg about it, but I know that she wouldn't want to say, with you as the one running the house. When the baby comes, there's going to be so much extra work and all that. I wouldn't feel right unless there was someone to help. It would make it easier for Margaret and also for you. What do you think? Please write and let me know. Things are going well with your son out here. The work is so much more interesting than it was before, and my time is about my own. I certainly have no excuse for not writing to you and Dad several times a week. I'm going to write Marg at least once a day, and so you'll be able to get any news each day from her. As you know, I am a big wheeler here now, my own desk, office, secretary, and second in command of the department. My job will consist of all administrative work, although to do it properly, I must have a good technical knowledge of the equipment we're installing and using. I've been to 9 o'clock Mass this morning and to communion, and then I stopped over here to write a letter to Margaret and you. There's no one in the office on Sundays, and they have a 6-day week here. Tomorrow I'm going over to the base operations and get a ship to get my time in. Probably in the afternoon I'll make a trip over to Las Vegas to pick up some tubes and other equipment, and also see Pappy Old. I haven't written to him, but intend to just walk in and surprise him. In a week or so, I'm going to go fly down to Clovis to see Raj and also to pick up some equipment. You can see I make official hops all over out here and about any time that I can. Nice setup, eh? You can also tell Dad that we have some pretty powerful receivers in here, so I'll be able to follow the major leagues this year. It's hard to get programs in the daytime on an ordinary set, but these more powerful ones can get any of the stations you care to tune in on. In fact, it is now 1 o'clock, and I can hear one of the mechanics tuning up a set in the lab right now. I noticed that he was getting quite a little bit of static, so I looked out his window, and quite a rainstorm is raging up on the mountain to the southwest of here. I never see a sight like that or other phenomena of nature that I don't think of you, Mother, and wish you could be seeing them too. I think that I've developed my love of nature's sights from you. Someday when this is all over, I'll take you above the clouds so you can see how beautiful it is. With teaching Margaret to fly, and also my brothers, not to mention my father's, I'm going to be a busy boy, yes? By the way, how's Burns' venture coming along? Are they still getting me involved with their subterfuge? First thing you know, I'll be having people write me for first choices on everything from dishwashers to oil furnaces. You might ask him what he wants me to do in this case. Well, I'll sign off now and write a couple of paragraphs to Bern and Helen. Be sure not to overdo now and think over the deal about getting a girl to help. Your loving son, Bruce.
All right, let's start at the top of this letter. So Lotta has clearly hurt her arm. Bruce had mentioned this in the letter we just read, and then Margaret referenced this in her letter in the last episode. She had said something about Lotta falling off a ladder, but now it seems to be getting worse.
Yeah.
There's an infection or whatever. She's bedridden. So more hints about Lotta's, poor health.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Right around baby time, too. So he's nervous. So he's wants someone to come in and help, which is good.
Yeah.
He also can fly and see anyone when he wants to, and he's planning to visit Roger in Clovis. If you remember last episode, Roger is at a different gunnery school there, and he wants to go see Major Odell, who's in Las Vegas. I went back to the combat diary from the 306th Bombardment Group, our old friends over there, and it shows that Major Odell left England in October of 1944, almost 4 months after Bruce did. Quite a while. And he even had been there since March of 42, before Bruce even enlisted in the Army at all. So Pappy Odell had been in England for, more than 2 years.
And I never knew his last name. I just had seen pictures, and I kind of have him reference Pappy.
Oh, you've heard him talk about it?
Yeah, I think I
Pappy,
did. Yeah, about Pappy, but I didn't know that was his last name.
Yeah, there you go.
Major.
So Pappy Odell is apparently at Nellis Army Airfield, which is another gunnery school in Vegas, but possibly getting moved to Kingman, and he's nervous about it because, as we have established many episodes, there's not a good places to live. So he doesn't really want to bring his wife to go sleep in a garage somewhere, right? Isn't that what Grandpa did? Yeah.
With bugs.
With bugs, with all the bugs. Yeah, he's not looking forward to that either. I also caught the reference that Bruce is looking forward to the upcoming Major League Baseball season. Yes, the 1945 Detroit Tigers season started on April 17th, 1945. I looked this up.
Oh, yeah.
Just a few days before this letter was written. The Tigers actually lost on opening day, and this is funny. Our pitcher gave up a single to a guy batting with only one arm.
Goodness.
What was his
So
name?
that was, I forget, I should have written the name down, but there was a guy who, played Major League Baseball, batted with one arm, and we gave up a hit. So it doesn't seem to be a great start to the year. We lost at opening day to a guy with one arm. But, spoiler alert, the Tigers do go on to win the World Series in 1945. So, despite our rough start, 80 years later now, we can repeat this. It's 80th anniversary.
All right, way to jinx it.
I'm just saying, maybe. I said
Okay.
maybe.
You did say maybe.
I said
All right.
maybe
All
we
right.
can repeat this.
You know how superstitious I am. Okay.
You and Grandpa with your superstitions with the $2 too.
Yeah,
But the
whatever.
weirdest piece of this letter is, what do you think Bruce means about Burns' subterfuge?
Yeah, what?
Well, I think he's keeping some kind of secret.
He must be. Bruce.
About a new business that is opening up.
We really need to be conversing with Pat or
Oh,
finding
Pat
out.
won't- Well, maybe he would know.
He
maybe
might know.
Maybe he could ask.
He was thinking of starting a business, or
So Pat is Burns' son,
correct?
your cousin. So maybe we can ask him. But yeah, Bruce says he's worried that people are going to be asking him about dishwashers and oil furnaces. He's worried that people are going to think he's an expert in dishwashers and oil furnaces, and He's like, what do I do in this case if people ask me about it? I don't know. This is just, they're clearly
Appliances,
using
appliances
Yeah.
and mechanical. I mean, they have, lots of information.
Are they using his name to advertise something? And I don't know.
Maybe McMahon, and then he's wondering if
maybe.
people will be calling him because instead of Byrne. I don't know.
Oh, could be. I don't know. Well, we're gonna have to do some research as the whole podcast is winding down about kind of what Bruce did after the war, and he writes about it too. But it's
Didn't he talk about starting a business, an appliance business too, with somebody?
Yeah. Well, he was in the appliance business.
Okay, or he was.
Oh, he was?
With
Yeah.
Jack.
Lally.
Yeah.
oh right,
That's
right,
what Dad
right.
for years.
L&D Hardware in Ionia. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I
Well,
don't know about this one.
All right. The word subterfuge
Yeah,
is
that-
weird. The
yeah.
use of that word, because that implies something sneaky
Yeah, I don't know.
or like secretive.
Under the radar.
or like under the radar. So, yeah, this is where I really wish we had the letters back. We only get the one half part of it. So we'll see. Well, yeah, we're wrapping up. We're in the final year of the war, 1945. It's the final season of our podcast. And like we mentioned last episode, we want to take listener questions. So if you have something you want us to answer on the air, let us know. It could be about Bruce, could be about our process, whatever it might be. You can send the message to the Letters Home Instagram or the Lowell Historical Museum, and we'll read your question and we'll answer it in a future episode. I'm collecting a couple right now, so we might have to tackle a listener question next time. We'll see. But thank you for listening to Letters Home. We hope you continue to listen as we go through Bruce's story. You can listen to Letters Home on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the Lowell Historical Museum website and YouTube channel. New episodes drop every Thursday. The Lowell Historical Museum has digitized versions of Bruce's letters, so you can read them in full, along with primary sources for most of the people, places, and events we've talked about here today, plus more. You can also follow the Lowell Historical Museum on Facebook and the Letters Home podcast on Instagram at Letters Home Lowell. Thank you to Roger McNaughton for our podcast music and to Lowell Radio for letting us record in their studio at Lowell High School every week. Stream it at lowellradio.org. See you next time.